ABC weather update. Grab a jacket. It is cold out there this morning. We've got wind chills just in the 20s in spots out there, but we have beautiful sunshine today and a high of 54 degrees. A gusty breeze will develop late this morning, enhancing our fire danger through the afternoon. And then tonight we drop down to 40 under mostly clear skies. Not quite as cold tomorrow morning, and tomorrow's milder. A high of 62 degrees with a decent amount of sunshine mixing with a lot of clouds.
This report is sponsored by Whole Foods Market.
Explore the tropics now at Whole Foods Market, where you'll find juicy savings on fresh fruits, plus indulge in island-inspired flavors in the prepared foods department, bakery, snack aisles, and even the coffee bar through April 8th.
The Steve Harvey Morning Show on 105.3 WDAS. Without you, baby, I feel worthless. I'm living on my
Jabbers this morning. I said the crossing guard wasn't running her jabbers this morning. The other car yesterday came around the corner. Just took off the front end. They got to use them front brakes. It was low. She was telling me. Fire around here somewhere. I heard it. I'm scanning this morning. See Red Cross out there assisting. They're here on the scanner this morning. Like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. There was a fire back there, y'all, this morning, right here on 10th Street. Y'all see the hypocrisy in people, period, trying to start some mass confusion. Jasmine Crockett, Maxine Old Ass Waters. So they got Jasmine Crockett on the pedestal. That's who they trying to prounce in front of y'all for the Democratic Party. Thinking, oh, we just put her up there. We'll put a little bed winch up there. Have her tap dance. She got the energy to tap dance. We don't got the energy no more. But when we came in the house, when we used to be house niggas, which we still are, we used to be just like her when we first got here when we was young. Tap dancing like a motherfucker. You heard? But yet they talk all this shit about Elon. They talk all this shit about Elon, damaging this man, establishment, burning up this man's vehicle. Doing all types of shit, slandering the man and everything. Slandering the man. She said only thing she wished for on her birthday is that Elon must be took down. Right? This is what she said. This is what she said. It's out there. Y'all can listen to the bed wench. Propaganda. Once again on her own peoples. The blind lead the blind. Y'all all end up in the ditch. Know what I mean? But I said that to say this. Ladies and gentlemen. They talk all this shit about E, but yet they on X. Talk all that shit about E, but they on X. Faithfully, every day, right now. As I'm doing this video, they on X. On his platform. They on his platform. Raising hell against him. Make it make sense, ladies and gentlemen. The hypocrisy that come from people, not only people, niggas, especially them old house niggas that's getting crumbs off the plate. And that's all she getting. They got her out that motherfucker, man. She gonna look back on this shit when she get Maxine Waters' age and be like, what the hell was I thinking? These motherfuckers done put a battery in my back when she older, like Maxine Waters. Trust me. And that's a fact, not fiction. Ladies and gentlemen. That's a fact, not fiction. She gonna be out that motherfucking shit. Like, damn, I was bamboozled. If you don't get locked up for all the foolishness you out there doing. You understand me? if you don't get locked up for all the foolishness you out there doing. Causing riots and all that old fuck shit. Causing people to burn up Teslas and dock stations. And people, not only that, American people, cars are being vandalized behind your foolishness. Jasmine, Bed Winch Crockett. We can see the play. The American people can see the play. That they pouncing you up there like a little puppet and got you dancing like a little puppet. And you ain't gonna get no backlash because they support that foolishness. They support the foolishness, so they ain't gonna give her no backlash. And then the mouth. You hear these cronies, you hear these people, the way they talking now? Jasmine Crockett said, I'm gonna use every cuss word in the dictionary. Which is freedom of speech. And that's what I talked about on the video. Freedom of speech, you can talk your shit. You know what I mean? English language. You heard? The English language. I'm listening. Hold on, let me see if I can pull it up, y'all. Hold on.
So Cenk's line up until this point has been, no, it's at the collegiate level and above. I think once you get to the college level and above, that's when it's bad. So he would be on board with what the NCAA said recently. But you're so dumb. You're so dumb. I don't even know how to explain it to you anymore. Unless, this is the other option, unless you also are a transphobe. You know what I'm saying? Unless you also are kind of a misogynist. Unless you also are like, yeah, man, men just kind of like can rock on women, you know what I'm saying? Like they strong and like Messi would score 20,000 points. Like this makes no sense. No one is giving you props. No one is giving, if this is the same person, when you go and can share a stage with Dr. Phil, what did it get you? Nothing. You know why? Because you look like a bitch. You know what I'm saying? You look like a bitch. That's what it is. Like, that's just what it comes down to. You don't look like a fighter. You don't look smart. You look like a bitch.
A few moments later.
Recently, Francesca Fiorentini asked us at TYT to take her podcast, Habituation Room, off the network, and we happily agreed to that. And today, I'm going a little further, and I'm going to take Francesca off the network entirely. So you won't see her on any of the TYT shows going forward.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We got to talk about some drama in the progressive world, right? In Looney Tunes world. There's some drama. And I think this story right here is a perfect summary of the fate of the Democrat Party, right? This is the fate of the Democrat Party in a nutshell, right? This story, which is the inevitable breakup of people who are somewhat sane, right? Who are still mainly like 75% insane versus people who are 100% insane, okay? And the 100% insane and the 75% insane are not compatible, right? Because on the left, you have to agree 100% with the 100% insane people, or else you're far right, okay? You are conservative, according to these leftists like Francesca Fiorentini, who just got fired from TYT by Cenk Uygur, okay? And I personally think that this should have happened a long time ago, right? But it's happening now, okay? And I want to talk about it because, again, I think this story is a great example of the fate of the Democrat Party, what's going to happen, because they're not going to be able to finesse this political revolution that is happening in the Democrat Party. The rise of the Blue Tea Party, I think, is going to lead to situations like this, right? So with that being said, what happened? Okay, Cenk announced, I am no longer allowed to appear on the damage report with John based on disagreements with TYT's main host, and yes, calling Cenk a bitch for engaging with Dr. Phil, a guy who's joining ICE raids on innocent people. It's been a good over 10-year run at TYT, but indeed it's time for both of us to move on. There's too much at stake. There are still many good people at TYT. Sadly, they're not in charge. And fewer women, people of color, and trans people. Smell you later. Okay, yeah. So what we have here is Francesca Fortini, okay, being fired by Cenk. Okay, and I want to go over some of the reasons why this is happening, okay? Because, again, my theory is that for similar reasons why Cenk fired Francesca Fortini, right, that this can't work, okay, is the same reason why the Democrats are not going to be able to survive their current political civil war, okay? But let's start with the first issue, right, that cause cracks in the armor, which is the fact that Cenk is not woke enough when it comes to the issue of trans athletes in sports.
First, let's watch this.
I'm a big Messi fan, so but let me just explain this.
Answer my question. Would you allow him, if he said I'm a woman, to play in the American women's national team?
Yes, right now. Hell yeah, are you kidding me?
Transgender female athletes in women's sports, only 18% of the country says that they should be, in fact, allowed to participate in women's sports.
Your argument is really bad on this, and you're out of your depth. You're correct that trans women should be able to compete in women's sports, but your argument for it is just scientifically and factually incorrect. I'm actually not bad about this. I'm 100% right on this. I don't give a the scientific explanations. People, if they identify as a woman, get to compete in sports. If that's not fair in the short term for a variety of little competitions, I don't give a
And I mean, my goodness gracious, 79%. You rarely get 79% of the country to agree on anything.
Because the societal interest of including trans people in society trumps stupid competition. Full stop. So I'm right about this. You're wrong about this.
You'd let Lionel Messi play in the women's national football team and destroy women's football forever. You'd let Usain Bolt.
It'd be very difficult to get a ticket, which would suck.
I want to do a little checklist here. You'd let Usain Bolt compete as a sprinter in the American women's Olympic team?
Yes.
Okay. You would let Floyd Mayweather compete as a boxer in the women's American boxing team?
Opposing them in women's sports. You get 67% of Democrats, so 2/3 there. You get 64% of independents, so you get about 2/3 there.
So I'm right about this.
We over Sun Village, y'all. Goddamn hypocrite, y'all. You hear that? They said they let Floyd Mayweather compete in females boxing competition. Usain Bolt. You know what I mean? The hypocrisy, y'all. The hypocrisy from these Negroes. People, period. If it ain't the Negroes, it's the white Negroes that's jumping out the window.
Want to say that you're right about something, sure, everybody has their own opinions and it's their opinions. That's why they think that they're right. It's another thing to say that you speak for the left. As you just saw there, 67% of Democrats have a position that is actually to the right of mine. I say that trans girls should be allowed to play in girls' sports in high school. 67% of Democrats say no, not allowed in any women's sports.
Yeah, so you see what I'm saying? You have Cenk here, who is taking a position that is a leftist position, okay? Most of his own party disagrees with him on this issue, but he's not as far left on the issue as the far left, okay? And the far left is saying that he is right-wing, right? That he is a bad person, he's a bigot, he's a transphobe, because he's not far left enough, even though he is far left on that issue, right? Again, fascinating. This is, again, why the fate of the Democrat Party is not looking good, right? It is not looking good, okay? The fact that Democrats can't get past that issue, a very basic issue, I'm just saying, this is, it's just not going to be good for the Democrats, right? This is not going to work out well for them, okay? So you know what happens when far leftists get upset and they can't win any real argument, right? So what they start to do is that they don't focus on the issues anymore. They don't talk about substance. They start attacking you, right?
Mass confusion.
Levying personal attacks at you. And in the case of somebody like Francesca Fortini, she's a host for a TYT show, right? She is Jake's employee. And for whatever reason, she thought it would be a good idea to move away from the disagreements, right? The political disagreements to personal attacks because Jake politically disagrees with her.
I like that we can both be very Mediterranean about it and get like super mad, but then rein it in and be cool and then be like, we're like, yeah, we're just going to yell and then we're going to be fine and then we're going to get over it. So that's the kind of beer I like to have.
Yes, thank you.
2 days later.
I mean, I have my own thoughts on like why he's doing it. I think, if you think your brain was broken by the 2024 election, I think we're looking at a case where someone's brain was broken even harder. I do think it's sad that even though they allow people like us into the fold and the fray, they refuse to learn from us or listen to us. And I think that when you have been doing this work for so long and you still cannot grasp the idea of intersectionality, how race and gender and class all intertwine with one another, and how the fascist goal is to divide us based on these lines. I don't know like who you are. Like I don't even know if you're smart. You know what I mean? I don't even know. First of all, I don't know who your political mentors are. I don't know who you look up to. I don't know what your touchstones are. I don't know if you know your history in terms of like civil rights, women's rights, gay rights struggle in this country. I don't know anything. I call into question all of that. It sounds like you are just an opportunistic mouthpiece who wants clicks time and time again.
Okay, so obviously it's getting deeply personal there. Opportunistic mouthpiece, can't grasp simple concepts, not smart. But guys, and I'm not angry. Look, people have different opinions and they want to make it personal. It is what it is, right? I'm more sad about it. I'll say something at the end about that. But to me, the attitude that is toxic, and that's what I don't want at TYT. I want to build a community that is really open to conversations, is they refuse to learn from us. So the idea is, well, obviously I'm right and the only moral center of the universe, and I already told him that, and this guy wouldn't even learn from me. It's just such a deeply arrogant thought that if someone disagrees with you, they need to be re-educated, and maybe they haven't read any books at all. Okay, did she stop there? Of course not.
And yes, as I told Cenk, I do feel very implicated. I have felt implicated by their takes, specifically around crime and policing in years past, definitely by this new heel turn since Trump's reelection, and absolutely by the misrepresentation of the Los Angeles fires and who the responsibility lies on. It is enraging, to say the least.
Man, y'all, like I said, you got them house Negroes, you got them white Negroes that's out there capping.
It is enraging, to say the least.
The Los Angeles fires are not the responsibility of the mayor. They're apparently the responsibility of Republicans. I don't know. I don't know what her thought on that is, and I don't know why she's enraged by that, but that's okay. Apparently, I've taken a heel turn.
Again, this is what happens when you get in bed with the far left, okay? I try to warn people, man. When it comes to hiring people, okay, I used to talk about this all the time with these leftists that work at these places, and they end up being agents of chaos because they want to put their politics ahead of their jobs, right? This is what they do. I don't understand why any business owner at this point, why are you hiring these leftists, right? Somebody that is openly and proudly a leftist is a liability, okay? Because every single time they're going to put their politics over their job, right? In this case right here, you have Francesca Fortini putting her personal beef with Cenk because they have a disagreement in politics. That really is not even that much of a disagreement. Let's be real. They're like 90% on the same page. But because they're not 100% on the same page, she started attacking this man personally. I mean, just trashing the network. Trashing network. basically accusing the man of being a paid shill, right? Of being compromised, being in bed with fascism. This is your employer. This is your employer. But hey, that's how these leftists operate. Eventually, people gonna learn you don't want to do business with leftists. So again, this brings me to the last clip. Right, the most hilarious clip, to be honest with you, is Francesca Fortini calling Cenk a bitch. I think this is where he drew the line.
All these days, but good news, no longer implicated. Believe it or not, she did not stop there. This is now another show. Watch.
So Cenk's line up until this point has been, no, it's at the collegiate level and above. I think once you get to the college level and above, that's when it's bad. So he would be on board with what the NCAA said recently. But you're so dumb. You're so dumb. I don't even know how to explain it to you anymore. Unless
Low-key, I gotta admit, her baby voice might be better than mine. It might be better than mine. I'm just saying, I gotta give her credit. Her baby voice, I think, is pretty good.
Unless, this is the other option, unless you also are a transphobe. You know what I'm saying? Unless you also are kind of a misogynist.
Because if you disagree with Francesca or anyone on that part of the spectrum, well, you must be a misogynist. You must be collaborating with the fascists, and obviously you must be unintelligent. Now,
I love it. I love watching the left implode. I love watching them eat themselves. This is the best reality television show, right? It really is on YouTube, okay? On cable news, the Democrat Party. The best soap opera on news, right? On cable news.
Facts.
The Democrats. Again, this is an extension of that, guys. This is what we're witnessing.
if I had called her dumb, I wonder what her reaction would have been. My guess is nuclear. But I think
she would have called you a sexist, okay, a misogynist, a bigot. She would have called you a bigot, right? That's exactly what she would have did.
Didn't call her that because we have a disagreement. We have a political disagreement. You don't need to make it personal. Not done yet. One last one.
What has it got you? What did it get you? When you go and share a stage with Dr. Phil, what did it get you? Nothing. You know why? Because you look like a bitch. You know what I'm saying? You look like a bitch. That's what it is. Like, that's just what it comes down to. You don't look like a fighter. You don't look smart. You look like a bitch. That's just the reality. I've tried to tell it to you nicely. I've tried to tell it to you cordially. I've tried to tell it to you on your show, on my show, on every show. And so either you A, are a bitch, or B, you actually agree with the right. And I'm starting to think, in fact, I do think it's the latter.
Okay. So again, if I had called her that would have been a different situation, right? But look, guys, also on the policy or the strategy, when you go talk to the right-wingers, first we did that, and I mainly did that, and there was a lot of blowback saying, don't ever talk to the right wing, but they won the popular vote. How are we going to win back the voters if we never talk to them? If we don't win them back, we can't ever win an election. And that doesn't mean the far end of MAGA. It means independents that voted for Trump and maybe some right-wing populists that voted for Trump. Now I've noticed that faction is now saying, well, I mean, of course we should talk to the right, but we should only yell at them or we should only accost them. That seems like a really productive conversation. And now I guarantee you they'll say, no, I don't mean just yell at them, but just like build coalitions. As Francesca said recently, apparently she's changed her mind about being a collaborator. But not with Trump voters. Well, who would it be if it wasn't Trump voters? Those folks on the edge of the middle of the spectrum where that we got to bring to our side.
Well, they don't think that. They think that they have a significant majority in this country and that they're just not voting enough. That's what they think, right? They really do believe that if they got all their progressive policies passed, that this country would never vote Republican again. That's what these people believe. So they don't think they need to actually reach out to Republicans or people that disagree with them. But again, Cenk, who is 75% insane, right? He is the 75% insane. He's trying to use the 25% of his saneness, okay, to convince somebody who, again, is 100% insane to be reasonable, right? And it's like, you can't reason with unreasonable people. That's what you understand. These people are unreasonable, okay? So by definition, you can't reason with them. They're not reasonable people, right? Look at the things they believe in. Look at the policies they support. So, you know, Cenk is a nicer guy than me, right? He's a way nicer guy than me because I would not have waited this long after my employee called me a bitch on camera, on a channel that I believe TYT was connected to, right? Like it was a part of their network. So your own network's channel, she's calling the boss, okay, the boss, a bitch. At every respectable company in America, an employee who publicly calls her boss a bitch will be fired on the spot. Fired on the spot. The fact that she lasted this long means that, Cenk, you're too nice of a guy, man. You're too nice. But I hope you learn your lesson. I hope you learn your lesson about getting in bed with these people. It will always backfire every single time, just like it's backfiring on the Democrat Party. And here's the thing. I think the establishment Democrats are more conservative than Cenk, right? In the sense that they're more to the right than Cenk, okay? They're still far left, don't get me wrong, okay? But they're not as far left as Cenk and the far left, right? The socialists and communists, which I mean, you know, Cenk is basically almost there. If this is happening to Cenk, can you imagine what's going to happen to the Democrats if they try to be moderate, right? If they try to be moderate, what do you think is going to happen to the Democrats if this is what's happening to Cenk? You see all them Looney Tunes? They've waged a political war against TYT, right? I mean, they're dragging TYT every single day. They're trying to bring this channel down, okay? And a lot of these people worked for TYT. Cenk was in bed with them. And then they've turned on him and they're trying to destroy his business. It's crazy. It really is. But again, this is why I say you don't get in bed with extremists. Because the pendulum will swing the other way. One day they're on your side. But when they turn against you, okay, you're going to feel their wrath. And you're not going to like it. And it's going to be worse because they're going to direct more anger at you because you were on their side. They see you as a traitor.
The Congress era. All right, besties. House appropriation is the money moves in Congress. We are not chasing the bag. We are the bag. Democrats are making life smoother through government funding. It's giving. It's giving. So Sigma, main character energy. But Republicans' project 2025 is mad sus. Eliminating the Department of Education? Negative aura points. Basically, the biggest phantom tax on the environment, on your education, and your rights. Big L, posting it online, buddy. Democrats understood the assignment, but go off. See how I keep you informed? Very cutesy, very demure.
What's up, y'all? Gerald here, creator of Gospel Chops and your host for this YouTube channel, back with another video. Now, y'all, the Democrats are out of control. They are in free fall. They don't know what to do as Donald Trump is taking over the government with this new MAGA wave, including the DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, headed by Elon Musk. And y'all, they are wrecking shop in government. Donald Trump got his cabinet confirmed. All systems are go at this point, and the Democrats don't know what to do but be ridiculous. To the point where they are turning off their own supporters, y'all. They have selected the elected from Texas, Jasmine Crockett, who is out here as the modern day minstrel show for 2025, who has decided to make herself available to the Democrat Party to crash out. She is the modern day crash dummy who wishes to be the step and fetch it of the party, saying, hey, I will get out here and I will dance, I will shuck and jive, I will do whatever it takes to get Democrat acceptance. But here's the problem. Because this ain't nothing new. We've always had people like this. The raccoon culture, the raccoon folks in the community, we always know who they are. She just stepping out here volunteering to be that. But we don't know who the real Jasmine Crockett is, because it seems like when she was in Texas as a state representative, she didn't act like this. And now you jump out here on the big stage and they tell you, hey, we need you to be ghetto. We need you to be ratchet. We need you to be uncouth. And she says, okay, I will wear a ghetto weave, a fake weave, fake lashes, fake nails, and put on a fake personality. Well, how do we know it's fake? Well, we don't know. It might be the real her just bubbling up to the surface. But what we do know is that when she was in Texas as a state representative, she didn't talk like that. She didn't act like that. She didn't behave like that. She was a whole different person, a whole different presentation that was made before the state of Texas. Maybe that's why they elected her in the first place. But you know what happens when you deceive the people? And you act a certain way to get in position, and then when you get in position, you switch up on the people. Well, the people switch up on you. And here you have Bill Maher, who's saying, I ain't going here. This is the equivalent of bringing out Meg the Stallion to twerk in front of the people. This is the equivalent of having Sexy Red represent your district in Congress. That's right. Jasmine Crockett is the Sexy Red of the House of Representatives. And who wants that? Well, definitely not Bill Maher, because he's come out and he said, look, if this where y'all at, I'm cool. And he's not the only one. We saw in recent days, Stephen A. Smith has come out on his own podcast and he's like, nah, I ain't with this kind of foolishness that the Democrats are on. And when you see your biggest influencers making a pivot, well, you should know that you on the wrong track. You're going down the wrong road, and whoever is responsible for this latest iteration of the Democrat Party should be fired. You know, like that illegal immigrant that AOC had on her staff.
Bennett Holmes, y'all. Ruth L. Bennett Holmes.
And when Donald Trump took office, he self-deported back to Colombia. Yeah, somebody investigate that. Pam Bondi, get on that. Cash Patel.
Pam Bondi. Everybody on Jasmine Crockett ass, y'all. Everybody on her ass. Because they know everybody can read the play. Everybody can read the play. That play trash. By them pouncing her out there, knowing she lefty like a motherfucker. They all support this LGBTQ shit, y'all. That's a fact, y'all. They all support that shit. That's what they really fighting for, them illegal migrants. Don't let them fool y'all. They still fighting for them illegal migrants and them mooks in the LGBTQ community. That's a fact.
We in these hot ass Texas streets, honey. Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now. And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot ass, honey. So yes.
I hate to be the friend who's too woke right now, but I fear I must. Jasmine Crockett is currently under fire for calling Greg Abbott Hot Wheels, because, you know, he's in a wheelchair type. Let me tell you why I don't agree with her joke. And be honest, it's not even for the reason you might think. Is the joke ableist? Yes. Do I necessarily care that somebody was being ableist to somebody who is literally a bigot and is trying to strip away people's rights? Well, no. I think Jasmine specifically has taken her bleach, butch, blonde, built, whatever moment and is stretching it. And any chance she gets in front of a microphone, she is trying to have those sound bites. And I think at some point, it's really just performative. Dare I say. And I'm not trying to down on this black woman politician who is probably doing everything she can when she's working to make sure that we have our rights. But I'm always call a spade a spade. And I know performativeness when I see it, sister, I do. Because what are you really doing? Other than egging on the bullshit that's going on with Congress. One thing I'm always gonna say is I think that we don't need to be overly nice to these Republicans, right? I'm not sitting here trying to say we need to have respectability politics. I'm not saying that we need to, just be buddy-buddy with them and be like, oh, we're just gonna turn the other cheek. We just need to be the bigger people. That's not... that they cannot help about themselves isn't doing anything.
All right, guys, we got to talk about ghetto Congresswoman, ghetto Democrat Jasmine Crockett, who has been in the news a lot lately due to the fact that her rhetoric and her language is getting more and more and more unhinged. Okay, she has decided to throw class out the window when it comes to the way that she conducts her politics, and she is just engaged in full-blown ghetto behavior and rhetoric, even on the House floor. Okay, this woman is showing us who I guess she believes that she is, right? The character that she's trying to play, because she didn't grow up like this, right? She did not used to be like this, and now all of a sudden, I think she's trying to run for president. Okay, I think she's trying to run in Democrat primary. Who knows? Okay, this is now the leader of the Democrat Party. But regardless, for whatever reason, she thinks that leaning into stereotypes is something that is going to help her out. Okay, maybe she's going to get the Yas Queens, right, of the Democrat Party to support her. Okay, I mean, they are the base of the Democrat Party. So who knows? Maybe this is a part of a broader strategy to get more national attention. Okay, and if that is it, then I gotta say it's working. But anyways, yeah, she is in some hot water, okay, over the fact that she mocked Greg Abbott, the Texas governor, who is in a wheelchair.
Dallas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett may be censured by the U.S. House of Representatives. The calls for a public rebuke come after she made controversial comments over the weekend about Governor Greg Abbott. NBC5's Phil Prazen has more.
Houston area Congressman Randy Weber has filed a motion to censor Dallas Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett over these comments over the weekend.
Thank you so much, Morgan, because we in these hot Texas streets, honey. Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now. And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot mess, honey.
She said that during a speech for the Human Rights Campaign in Los Angeles. While still new to Congress, Crockett has already built a reputation for brash talk and controversial statements, not backing down in an environment of heated rhetoric. She told Lone Star Politics this past weekend Democrats need to get tougher with their messaging.
So when you're sitting up in a debate with Greg Abbott, it's okay to be indignant, because this is a guy that also on his watch has had women die.
On the Hot Wheels comments, she posted online, quote, "I wasn't thinking about the governor's condition. I was thinking about the planes, trains, and automobiles he used to transfer migrants into communities led by black mayors, deliberately stoking tension and fear among the most vulnerable." That, a reference to the state's Operation Lone Star migrant busing program. Governor Abbott has not yet responded. He's used the wheelchair since the 1980s, after a tree fell on him while jogging. Republican Attorney General Ken Paxton called Crockett despicable. Senator John Cornyn called the comments shameful. Crockett may now be the next member of Congress censored, after Houston area Democrat Al Green was when he was kicked out of the chamber during President Trump's address to Congress. Phil Prazen, NBC5.
And now she's walking back her comments, okay? Because even people on the left, some people, very little people, but just, a tiny bit of people are saying, no, this is not okay, right? You should not have said this. And she's now coming out and walking it back saying that, no, I didn't say that, right? I wasn't mocking the governor and his disability. No, I was talking about something else, right? I was talking about how he's a racist, okay? This is essentially what she's doing, okay? In the face of accountability and responsibility, just play the race card, right? In order to deflect, right? That is the move, right? That's the move that they always use every single time, okay? A certain demographic, every single time they get in trouble, race card, right? Let's read here. Quote, I wasn't thinking about the governor's condition. I was thinking about the planes, trains, and automobiles he used to transfer migrants into communities led by black mayors. You mean Democrat mayors, right? Because it wasn't just all black mayors, right? The mayor of Denver isn't black. The mayor of Boston isn't black, right? These are, again, Democrat mayors, but according to her, again, black mayors, right? He's targeting people based off race. Again, this is what they do when they're wrong. They're wrong when they start pulling their race card. They start crying racism. Deliberately stoking tension and fear among the most vulnerable. Literally, the next line I said was that he was a hot ass mess, referencing his terrible policies. At no point did I mention or allude to his condition. So I'm even more appalled that the very people who unequivocally support Trump, a man known for racially insensitive nicknames and mocking those with disabilities, are now outraged. Keep that same energy for all people, not just your political adversaries. Finally, this is yet another distraction. Instead of obsessing over hanging on to my every word, maybe my political foes should focus on doing the work of the people who elected us to improve their lives. Well, that is what you're supposed to be doing, right? But again, Jasmine Crockett admitted that that's not what she's doing, that she's not doing her job. She admitted this in an interview, that she's not in Congress to actually do anything.
Let's talk first about this session, some of your goals. Is there anything you're trying to pass? How much of it is going on offense? How much of it is going on defense, trying to stop the Republicans?
Trying to pass? No. I should probably be a better politician and tell you, yes, we've got all this amazing legislation that I can absolutely imagine Donald Trump signing into law, and I'm just not gonna lie.
Yeah, so Texas Governor Greg Abbott actually responded to Jasmine Crockett, and this is what he had to say.
You had an accident at 26 and you were jogging and you had a very severe injury, and yes, you are in a wheelchair, and I've gotten to know you. You're a personal friend of mine. I take it personally when friends of mine are attacked viciously for no reason, and there's no way in hell that this woman and her ex-post is going to convince me she meant anything other than what we all believe it to be. Your reaction?
Well, Sean, is another day and another disaster by the Democrats. The reality is they have no vision, no policy. They have nothing to sell but hate, and Americans are not buying it. It's one reason why Texas is going to remain red and why Republicans are going to continue to win elections across the country. The fact, Sean, is that Texas is actually in direct contrast to what she was talking about. Texas has ranked #1 for the most new jobs in America over the past month, #1 for the most new jobs over the past year, and for several years. Texas ranks #1 for the most new economic development projects for 13 years in a row. CEOs who run businesses have ranked Texas the best state for doing business for 20 years in a row. And Texas is in the vanguard as it concerns the future of the United States, such as space exploration, such as artificial intelligence, such as semiconductors, as well as power generation. The bottom line is that Republican states like Texas are leading the way, and with comments like this by Democrats, we will just leave them in the dust in future elections.
Yeah, see, seeing that, you heard that. I personally think that was the perfect clapback, since Jasmine Crockett loves clapback so much, right? I think that was the perfect response from Greg Abbott to Jasmine Crockett. I mean, at the end of the day, look at the work, right? Look at the results of what Republicans have done in Texas. In fact, just look at the result of what Republicans have done in the South, period, okay? A lot of these states that Democrats claim are so dangerous and terrible for women and people of color, that's where their constituents are going, right? People are leaving California, they're leaving New York, and they're going down south. They're going to Tennessee, they're going to North Carolina, they're going to South Carolina, they're going to Georgia, Florida, Texas. right? That's what people are going, okay? And it's just funny because Jasmine Crockett, she stands against the policies that are making our states better, right? That are attracting people to these states, okay? She stands against that. In fact, she doesn't stand for anything, right? Because like I told you, she doesn't have any legislation. She doesn't have anything she's actually trying to do. She admitted that. I'm not doing my job. I'm just here to be an agent of chaos, right? That's exactly what she's doing. So again, of course, you have Democrats, liberals trying to defend this, something that they wouldn't be defending if it was a Republican. If a Republican did this, these people would be losing their minds. But when Jasmine Crockett does it, though, oh, well, I believe her. I believe her explanation that she wasn't mocking Greg Abbott. No, she was talking about him sending the illegals to the black mayor cities.
Crockett insists she was talking about Abbott's policies and not alluding to his condition, before adding that MAGA can't really say anything because they support a president who has mocked disabled people in the past. It is worth noting, Scott, that she has in the past made a tweet that did refer to wheels and rolling before.
Yeah, and she tried to walk it back and obviously forgot about her previous commentary using that exact same insult. I don't know how the Democrats came to appoint Jasmine Crockett as the unquestioned leader of your party, but thank God. And I think what she should do is go on TV twice as much as she is right now, maybe 3 times as much, because every time she appears and makes one of these mistakes, says something radical, it only further divides her party from the rest of the other 80% of America who can't stand this. But the problem is there's an audience for it. I heard Jimmy Kimmel's audience cheering on Tesla vandalism. I hear the Daily Show audience cheering on attacks on Elon Musk. I hear the human rights audience cheering on an attack on a man in a wheelchair. And I realize this is what the left has become. An angry mob of people who are cheering on attacks on a guy in a wheelchair and vandalism against people who bought a Tesla. It's pathetic.
Sad, ladies and gentlemen. Sad. All this coming from the left, y'all. All this coming from the left. Facts.
Actions speak louder than words. And in this instance, I think we have a president who, when the plane crash happened in Washington, D.C., he blamed it on people with disabilities. When RFK says that autism is a threat to the American way of life, which is a disability, apparently the White House has ended ASL, American Sign Language interpreters, in briefings, which is making it inaccessible. Questioning and gutting Social Security, which a lot of disabled people rely on, Medicaid, Medicare, people rely on.
Would y'all stop lying about that shit? He ain't cut no motherfucking this. Stop lying, motherfuckers.
And the
hate these niggas, man.
Including
come up there playing the fucking blame game. God damn it.
Education, ID, the individual
fucking niggas, man. Bed wenches and shit,
making
man.
sure that schools are not going to be accessible. Those are the actions of this administration. Those are the actions of the Republican Party. I would rather folks be demonizing those things than...
But to be clear, you don't agree with what she said, right?
Well, her explanation was that she wasn't referring to that policy. If she
so you buy that?
But here's the thing. If you make fun of somebody because of their disability, I do not agree with that. As a person with a disability, as a person who has family members with a disability, as a person who has taught children with a disability, that is not acceptable. She said that's not what she was doing, and so I know Jasmine, and I believe Jasmine if that's what she was saying.
Well, I don't know her yet.
Yeah, so once again, Scott Jennings is 100% correct, right? It's almost like he doesn't miss, right? He doesn't miss on CNN, okay? And he definitely didn't miss with this take, because ultimately, at the end of the day, you know, I'm not mad at Jasmine Crockett, to be honest with you. I'm happy that she's exposing herself for the stereotype that she's trying to play, right? The character of the ghetto black woman that she's trying to play. Because, again, if this is the future of the Democrat Party, then they're going to lose. They're not going to win any elections with people like Jasmine Crockett leading the way. So I'm totally fine with it. I'm not mad at her mocking a disabled governor. I'm not mad. I'm not upset. I'm not butthurt, right? Because that's what people say. Well, Trump supporters have no room to talk about this. And I'm like, I'm not upset about what she said, right? I'm not upset about it. It's not something I would say, but I'm not really upset about it. Okay, what I am pointing out is the fact that Democrats are not upset about it, right? That Democrats, if a Republican was to do something like that, they would be raging over it. They would say, oh, this is ableist. That person is a bigot. That this is unacceptable. This is not okay. Okay? This is what they said about President Trump. This is what they said about President Trump. So again, where is that same energy for Jasmine Crockett, right? See, this is what I'm talking about. What Democrats don't understand is that you can't play the whataboutism game when your party, like your whole appeal, okay? Your whole appeal is we're better than Trump. We're not like Trump, okay? The things that you hate about Trump, that's not us, okay? We're above that. But Democrats are not above it, right? They're not. And then when they show the world that, hey, we're not above it, we're not better than the guy that we claim is Hitler, right? They turn around and they say, well, why are you holding us to a higher standard than Hitler? Why are you holding Jasmine Crockett to a higher standard than Trump? But I thought you guys said that you were better than Trump. Your whole thing is that we're better than Trump. Okay, we know from a policy perspective that the Democrat policies suck, right? They can't beat Trump on the policies. So in the 2024 election, they basically ran on, well, we're just morally better than Trump, right? That's what they ran on. That was Kamala's whole campaign in a nutshell. Is that, well, she's just not Trump, right? She's just a better person than Trump. But again, when Democrats turn around and show you that that's just not the case, then they want to get mad when people call it out and say, okay, well, I thought that you weren't that type of person, right? I thought you weren't the people that mocked disabled folks, right? I thought you were the party that was against that. And when it comes time for them to show the world that, yes, we're against that, nah, they can't do it because a Democrat did it, right? When a Democrat does it, all of a sudden now it's like, oh, well, she didn't really say that. She didn't really mock Greg. I believe that she was talking about the government sending illegal immigrants to black cities, which, by the way, I'm not sure what the problem is, what Jasmine Crockett is complaining about, because she loves the illegals, right? She's the same person who's been out here defending Biden's open borders, right? Basically calling people who don't want illegal immigrant gang members coming into the country racists and bigots, right? That is what she's been doing. So again, I'm trying to figure out what the problem is with sending these illegals to these Democrat cities, because Democrats claim they love the illegals so much. But again, my overall point is this, is that if Democrats claim to be the people that they are, then they should condemn Democrats when they do things that Democrats claim that they are against, right? It's really that simple. I'm not triggered by what Jasmine Crockett said. I don't even think Greg Abbott is triggered by what she said. The whole point of pointing out what she said is the hypocrisy of the Democrats in the sense that they're not condemning what she said, right? That's the whole point, okay? But my overall point really is that Jasmine Crockett, she's doing this for attention, right? She's doing this because she doesn't have anything else. She doesn't have any substance. She's not trying to pass any legislation. She doesn't have any policy ideas. She's not in Congress to legislate. She's not in Congress to do her job. She's in Congress to be an agent of chaos. She's in Congress to be a social media star, right?
Right.
And as you guys heard at the beginning of this video,
looking for likes and views.
Can see it. They can see through the fact that everything she's doing is an act. Okay, and it's an act that's getting carried away. After her little moment with Marjorie Taylor Greene, right, in which she went viral for insulting Marjorie Taylor Greene in Congress, this is what she's been doing, right? This is her whole brand. This is her whole brand. So, you know, ultimately,
that's all they are. They're here to cause mass confusion. Said Fannie Willis got busted.
Well, we are following some breaking news tonight at 6 as a judge has now ordered Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis to pay more than $54,000 for violating the Open Records Act. Zach Merchant with our 11 Alive political team broke the story. And Zach, you just got a copy of that court order. What have you learned here?
We did. We just got a hold of this Fulton County Superior Court order just in the last roughly 15 to 20 minutes. In it, Judge Rachel Krause rules that DA Fannie Willis violated the State Open Records Act by failing declined to turn over documents requested by defense attorney Ashley Merchant. The judge wrote that the defendants, the Fulton County DA's office, were openly hostile to Merchant and failed to handle her requests in good faith. Merchant had sought a copy of confidentiality agreements signed by DA's office employees, as well as a list of attorneys hired by DA Willis. Judge Krause today gave the district attorney 30 days to pay Merchant $54,000 in attorney's fees and to turn over those requested files. Spokespeople for the DA's office did not immediately return requests for comment.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So we got to talk about Miss Fannie Pack Willis and Nathan Hot Dog Wade, okay? Because they have been caught once again hanging out with each other as if they are in a relationship. Now, this is important because Fannie Willis previously testified under oath that, hey, her and Nathan Wade were not in a relationship. They're not in a relationship right now. Now, they were in a relationship. It began back in 2022 and had ended in 2023. And while they were working on President Trump's case, okay, at the time of the hearings to determine whether or not she should be disqualified, again, due to the allegations of impropriety, she said, no, that again, they were not in a relationship, that they're not seeing each other, that is over. Nathan Wade said that as well, too. But now they're being seen once again
under
together,
oath. They lied under oath, yeah.
They're actually in a relationship.
I have had conversations with him since you filed the motion, but they wouldn't be substantive to this. He sent me very nice sermons that have been done. And so,
when did the romantic relationship between the two of you start?
Yeah, so you know, we get into, there's been this effort to say that, okay, these exact dates are at issue, and these exact dates are, I'm getting signaled here.
Yeah, take it. Can I go off mic for a second?
Yes.
Okay. Keep rolling? Yeah, keep rolling. Don't stop down. Stay. Turn on light shows. That's good?
Yeah, good.
Okay, we're good. We asked.
Yeah, so you see that, you heard that. That is Fannie Willis and Nathan Wade at LAX, still up to the same old tricks, right? Nathan Wade is still flying Fannie Willis around, clapping them cheeks all across the country, which is what we saw, right? We discovered during the hearings on having her be disqualified, in which, again, she claimed under oath that, hey, we're not in a relationship, okay, that it ended. And this is not the first time that we've seen Nathan Wade and Fannie Willis together, okay? We also saw Nathan Wade and Fannie Willis together doing a traffic stop in which Fannie Willis's daughter got pulled over, and Nathan Wade showed up as if he is the stepfather, right? As if he is some type of father figure or boyfriend figure to Fannie Willis.
When tragedy strikes,
can't make this shit up, ladies and gentlemen. You can't make this shit up.
Right? As if he is some type of father figure or boyfriend figure to Fannie Willis.
Fannie Willis' daughter got pulled over.
Mom, Dad, who's with him? Okay.
Nice to meet you.
So, nice to meet you. So, apparently her license is suspended. For something. Doesn't tell us what for or why or where, or that's something she's going to have to call DMV to find out. Right. Probably what happened is she had a speeding ticket, some kind of traffic infraction, never went to court, didn't take.
Yeah, so it looks like they're in a relationship to me, right? It looks like Fannie Willis and Nathan Wade lied under oath. Okay, that's what it looks like to me. But let's read more about what's going on here. Former Donald Trump prosecutors Fannie Willis and Nathan Wade have been spotted together at LAX, despite previously claiming their relationship ended in 2023. The scandal-hit couple were seen lugging their cases through the airport and exiting the Slapfish seafood restaurant inside the terminal. I can't lie to you guys. I'm a little surprised to hear Nathan Wade and Fannie Willis choosing to eat at a seafood restaurant. Okay, I would think that Nathan Wade would get tired of seafood, considering how he's probably eating fish every night. Running around with Fannie Willis, I'm sure he has plenty of fish to eat. Okay, so I would be tired of seafood if I was Nathan Wade. But hey, Fannie is not tired of hot dogs, so I guess it is what it is.
Greg on one, y'all. Greg on one right now, y'all. Let's go to let's go to another one, man. This once again another sister up there lying about a noose. Y'all heard about that? She lied about a noose. And her DNA was on the noose, and she refused to give up a DNA test. But they found the DNA on that goddamn noose anyway. The shit niggas in the left do for clicks and views. Everything is about clicks and views, ladies and gentlemen, the world we live in. It's about likes and views. See how many likes and views you can get. Let's go. Shit crazy, man.
Well, as we know, dozens of folks voiced outrage in front of Allentown City Hall today. This is an investigation that is continuing into an item resembling a noose that was reportedly found on a city employee's desk. And our Nikki Dementri is got the latest now. She's in Lehigh County with reaction from the city and community leaders about this investigation.
When Black lives are under attack, what do we do?
A call for action and fight for change.
We will not be silenced.
Community members and leaders made their voices heard in front of Allentown City Hall Monday afternoon.
Just to think that people have to go to work in fear for their lives.
Since Friday, Allentown police continue to investigate an item resembling a noose found on a city employee's desk.
This egregious act is not just an affront to one individual, but it is an attack on the entire community.
Several spoke during a rally, calling for transparency, prevention, and an immediate federal investigation among a list of demands. This incident, community members note, is not the first racial discrimination issue City Hall has dealt with. Josie Lopez is a close friend.
What's going on up in there? Y'all see a lot of jersey tags this morning. That's right. Soccer season opened back up, so that's what that is. People that really got the high positions that make good money, they live out of state. You know what I mean? But if you want to be a flagger, make about $50 to $100 a day you out there flagging, get with the Negroes.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. So yet again, we got to talk about another race hoax that shows that the demand for racism in this country is much higher than the supply, okay? For a country that is supposed to be a white supremacist country, right, according to some of the woke revolutionaries, and is systemically racist against black people. It's so tough. It's so hard, okay? Racism is everywhere, right? It seems to be very difficult for these individuals to find legitimate instances of actual racism, because a vast majority of the so-called racism that race hustlers like Roland Martin complain about are just petty instances of microaggressions that black people don't like. Like, for example, when you have a white man ask somebody like Roland Martin, who is wearing his college paraphernalia around, if he's a fan or if he is an athlete, okay, or if he played for the school, okay, yeah, he thinks that is racism, right? That is what black people have to deal with on a day-to-day basis when it comes to racism. Now, when it comes to the more serious accusations of racism, a vast majority of those are hoaxes, right? They're hoaxes. They're made up, okay, because it's just not that much of it out there, to be honest with you. And again, this is why you have stories like this involving a city employee out of Allentown, Pennsylvania, okay? The city employee, whose name is Latasha Brown. As you guys can see here, this is a city employee. I guess she thought it'd be a good idea to put a noose on her desk, to plant a noose on her desk, and then to turn around and to boo-hoo on and cry racism, right? Hate and bigotry. As you guys saw at the beginning of this video, you had a lot of the woke revolutionaries protesting, talking about how this is a hate crime, okay? And, you know, they were doing their whole BLM protests and stuff like that. Just to find out that the perpetrator was not some flaming white racist. No. It actually was this woman, right? The accuser actually did this to herself, okay? And the reason why we know this is because the police did a DNA test of everybody in the office at the time in which the incident occurred, okay? And the only DNA that was on the news was hers. So therefore, just, you know, using some common sense and basic logic, the only person that could have put the noose there was her, okay? Also, she's a member of the school board, okay, in that area as well, too. And I want to go ahead and play a clip of her basically running for school board so people can get a feel of this individual. And then I'm going to play a clip from the police and them talking about this situation, because she has now been charged over faking a hate crime against herself. Take a look.
My name is Latasha Brown, and I am a candidate for the Allentown School Board Director. Although there are many pressing issues during this race, what troubles me the most is that our board is not united. I see a divide between the decisions our board make and the needs of our students and community. My goal as a school board director is to not only be transparent, but it's also to be the ears of our community and to translate their voices into actions. When it comes to leadership, we must collectively work together to figure out what the issues are and then find potential solutions to the issues. Select the best solution for the issue and then implement a plan to effectively resolve the issues.
Yeah, so let's get into the police and what they have to say about this incident.
Good afternoon. My name is Charles Rook. I'm the Chief of Police of Allentown. I'm joined at the podium by Captain Steve Milkovitz and Detective Harold Bonzer of our Criminal Investigations Division. The purpose of this press conference is to provide an update regarding the noose investigation. I want to take a moment to thank the following agencies who assisted in this case: Lehigh County District Attorney's Office, the Pennsylvania State Police Crime Lab, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. The Allentown Police Department conducted a thorough investigation, including interviews of persons, analysis of evidence, and consultation with the District Attorney's Office of Lehigh County. As a result of the subsequent investigation, Latasha Brown was charged with tampering with or fabricating physical evidence, a misdemeanor of the 2nd degree, and false reports to law enforcement, a misdemeanor of the 3rd degree. As in every criminal case, the fact that a warrant has been issued or a complaint has been filed is merely an accusation. The defendant is presumed innocent until and unless proven guilty in a court of law. I'm now going to ask Captain Milkovitz to provide a summation of this investigation.
Good afternoon, everybody. Captain Milkovitz, Criminal Investigations Division. On January 10, 2025, at approximately 7:11 a.m., Allentown City employee Latasha Brown arrived at our office on the 3rd floor of City Hall. At approximately 7:38 a.m., Ms. Brown notified the Allentown Police Department that she discovered what she believed to be a noose on her desk upon arriving at work. Officers assigned to the Community Outreach Unit, Crime Scene Identification Unit, and Criminal Investigations Unit responded, initiating a criminal investigation to identify the individual responsible for placing the noose on Ms. Brown's desk. During the investigation, video surveillance and building access control records were reviewed to identify city employees present on the third floor of City Hall between the time Ms. Brown left for work on the afternoon of January 9, 2025, and her arrival on the morning of January 10th. Those employees were interviewed. Each was asked if they would provide a buccal swab for DNA testing if needed. Every employee agreed, except for Ms. Brown.
Yeah, because she did it, right? I mean, let's be real. They're saying that, oh, well, you know, she's being charged, it's merely an accusation. It doesn't mean that she's guilty. But let's be real. If they didn't think that she was guilty, they wouldn't be charging her, okay? Right. They're charging her because they know that she's guilty. They're just going through the formalities right now. But again, I mean, it's pretty obvious that this woman did this. Now, again, my question is the motivation, right? Maybe, again, this woman is trying to, I don't know, run for higher office or something like that. She seems to be active in the community, so she's trying to paint herself as some type of victim of racism, okay, that the white man is after her. And it seems to have backfired. And this happens time and time again when it comes to these alleged instances of racism. Okay, why are these things, why are they most likely hoaxes? Well, it's a very simple reason. It's because the white man does not have time to be doing silly stuff like this to black folks, right? I mean, it's very simple stuff. I don't think people understand, right? I do not believe that the average white man goes out of his way to be like, you know what, I'm just going to make a black person feel real bad today, right? I'm going to do something racist towards a black person. Again, contrary to popular belief, I don't think that black people are on the minds of the white man like that. Even the ones that are racist, right? Even the racist ones, I just don't think they go out of their way to harass black folks, right? I think more so than anything, they're like, you know what, I want to stay as far away as possible from black people, right? So, you know, again, to me, none of this ever really makes sense, right? Logically speaking, okay, in regards to the motivations behind this. And again, we all remember the story about Juicy Smollett in Chicago, which, by the way, he got off, okay? Not because he didn't stage a hate crime against himself, but because the Supreme Court in Illinois ruled that him being recharged after his initial charges were dropped is a violation of his due process rights, right? So again, it is more of some procedural and administrative stuff rather than whether or not Juicy Smollett is innocent. But I mean, come on, everybody knew from the beginning, everybody with common sense that is, that it made zero logical sense that some MAGA hat wearing Trump supporters would try to beat up and find Juicy Smollett in the middle of Chicago. Like, it doesn't even make sense, right? It made no sense whatsoever from the beginning, okay? Made no sense. So, you know, I think stories like this are similar in the sense that they just don't make sense, right? It just wasn't believable at the beginning. And, you know, unfortunately, you got people that will fall victim to this type of stuff, right? Again, as you guys saw at the beginning of this video, you had the woke activists out there boohoo, whine, and cry. And it's like, how do y'all keep falling for this, right? If you use your common sense, you won't fall for this stuff. But hey, you know, when you're liberal and you're a race hustler, then, you know, you are likely to lack common sense. And you're not going to do the critical thinking that is needed when trying to evaluate if these situations are actually what they appear to be, okay?
Initially cooperative, Ms. Brown later requested that the investigation be discontinued. The noose was submitted to the Pennsylvania State Police Crime Lab for DNA testing on January 14, 2025. On January 24, 2025, a search warrant was approved by the Lehigh County District Attorney's Office for Ms. Brown's DNA, and a DNA sample was obtained that same day. On January 27, 2025, Ms. Brown's buccal swab was submitted to the Bethlehem Regional Crime Lab of the Pennsylvania State Police for comparison with DNA profiles recovered from the noose. On March 10, 2025, the Forensic DNA Division of the Pennsylvania State Police issued a written report indicating that Ms. Brown's DNA matched the DNA profile obtained from the swabs of both the outer surface and inner knotted portion of the noose after it was taken apart. No other person's DNA profiles found on the evidentiary items involved in this investigation. As a result of this investigation earlier today, Detective Harold Bonds of the Allentown Police Department filed charges against LaTarsha Brown at District Court 31-2-01 for the criminal offenses outlined earlier by Chief Roca. Thank you.
Yeah, and she should be punished to the full extent of the law. Okay, 10 years minimum, right? 10 years minimum. Hard time. Okay, hard time for faking this hate crime. Okay, she should be punished to the fullest extent of the law to send a message, to set an example for those who want to try to elevate their careers by staging hate crimes against themselves, right? And boo-hoo-whining crime racism, because ultimately, at the end of the day, these fake hate crimes do nothing but to make our country more divided among racial lines, even though, again, a lot of this racism is fake, it is made up. It just creates more racial hatred and division. And again, this is why there must be severe consequences and accountability so that individuals understand that, hey, this isn't going to work out well for you in the future, right? Especially if you do something amateurish like this. I mean, this is completely amateurish. She certainly is not smart enough to be working for the city, okay, or to be on anybody's school board if she's staging fake hate crimes like this. I mean, this is